Hey, I promised I would do this more often, and guess what? Already doing it. Okay, so let's today talk about the police. Yesterday was Bell's Let Talk Day. Let's Talk Day. Let's talk mental health or whatever the hell they call it. And it was a little bit refreshing in that no one seemed to notice. No one seemed to pay attention to Let's Talk Day this year, finally, except, of course, politicians who tweeted their mental health stuff and the RCMP. Now, I have here RCMP Twitter, and I'm not supposed to do it like this, but who cares? This is how I'm going to do it. RCMP wrote, Bill Let's Talk is a reminder that change starts with conversations. Remember, you don't have to face your struggles alone. Your journey matters, and support is just a conversation away. Now, what happens when you try to have a conversation about your mental health with a police officer? And let's say that someone sees you acting erratically. Let's say that you are not feeling well, your family and your friends are concerned about you. Well, in Canada, odds are the police show up and they injure you or they kill you. That is the sad reality of how police interact with people who are having mental health crises. And so this tweet obviously set me on a path, as it set a lot of people on a path of anger, frustration, thinking about this, because we know that police-involved deaths in Canada have been on the rise. There's been a lot more people being killed by police than in previous years. Not previous recent years. The trends have been rising steadily in the last couple of years. And so here we have the RCMP saying you can come and talk to us. Don't be shy. As we all know, you actually can't. At the same time, Bill Let's Talk Day, you have Danielle Smith taking the stage with some seriously ghoulish characters, Tucker Carlson, Conrad Black, Jordan Peterson, and Smith shouts out the chief of police for the Edmonton Police. So this happens yesterday, right? I'm recording on Friday. This happens Thursday night. And who is the chief of police? This guy is called McPhee, I think Dale McPhee. His police department had just put out a press release yesterday saying that they were called to a domestic fight, an incident, where upon showing up, police tasered and then shot a teenaged girl or woman, 19 years old. The fight was between her, the 19-year-old, and a preteen sibling. And police showed up, tased her, and then shot her. Now, luckily, she didn't die. Her injuries are serious, but they're not life-threatening. And we have the premier of the province on stage at this ridiculous event celebrating a police force that is known for its brutality and its violence. I mean, not to mention, of course, all of the encampment breakups that the Edmonton Police have been involved in. Now, the Edmonton Police is not the RCMP, but you know what? They're all cops. And I'm going to bounce around a couple of different cop stories to just show how connected and similar they are. So that's the Edmonton Police. We got a premier thanking the Edmonton Police who goes into a place and cannot even deal with a family fight, and a teenager has to shoot her with a taser. I mean, is there anything more disgusting? Then there's also news that comes out of Hamilton. Now, the Hamilton City Council is voting right now on its budget. The Hamilton Police want more money, as police always want more money, and they're asking for $20 million extra. Now, one of the people who is on city council, this guy called Matt Francis, he was speaking, and Samantha Beattie from CBC News Hamilton was there and wrote a story about what he was saying. Francis went on something called a ride-along, which a lot of politicians are invited to do to go with cops, and they drive. Usually it's at night, so it's like extra scary, and you can see how hard it is to be a police officer and all this. And Matt is telling this story. I think his name's Matt. Doesn't matter. His name's definitely Francis. He's telling this story as part of his intervention to explain why he believes police need more money. It's late November, it's cold, it's early morning, and they get a call for someone in medical distress at an encampment. Now, this is a city councilor who's also been opposed to the encampments, wants them cleared out. He shows up with the police officer to find a woman has just given birth in an encampment. And she's holding the newborn, and the umbilical cord is still attached. He sees this, and this anecdote comes out now, yesterday or this past week, as he's advocating for the police needing more resources. Rather than saying, wait, maybe we should give more resources to people living in encampments. This is the political logic of some people who would say that we absolutely need police because they're the ones that are going to be the one showing up to a situation like this. Of course, paramedics were also right there. And of course, paramedics were the ones dealing with the medical emergency, obviously. But to imagine seeing with your own eyes someone who's forced to give birth in an encampment and then say that $20 million should go to the police officers who arrived on the scene and not the person who just gave birth, it shows the twisted logic that underpins policing in this country, which is that we have social problems. The social problems might push people into homelessness. They might exacerbate mental health issues. They might push someone towards addictions or other risky kind of things that society, renders risky. And the only solution to deal with any of that is the police. Because never mind the fact that this person should never have given birth in an encampment, that they should have had an apartment, that they should have been somewhere warm, that they should have had the resources to be able to go to the hospital and say, I think I'm about to give birth. That person doesn't have that. And they need something, and that something passes through resources. And at the exact same debate where the city hall is demanding or asking for $43 million extra from the city council to be able to put money into supportive housing or affordable housing or shelter support. And at the same council, you're also considering a $20 million increase to the budget of police. Policing is not proactive. It's always reactive. And if we want to stop things from happening, it isn't going to happen through giving police more money. That just makes sure that there's more people who can arrive after something's already happened to then tase and shoot a 19-year-old woman. But that's not it. The last thing I want to mention today is, I'm sure you heard the news. I mean, a lot of these stories were featured on the Daily News podcast. So if you listen to the Daily News podcast, you're going to be like, Nora, are you just doing the Daily News podcast again? I'm not. This is like analysis, not news, right? But it is sandynora.com. You can check out the Daily News podcast. But another big story that broke yesterday was that the World Juniors hockey team in 2018, 5 members of the team are being summoned to London Police so that they can face charges of sexual assault. Now, this is the world winning team in 2018. They were at a reception held by Hockey Canada in June 2018. And that night, something happened. There was a sexual assault that involved several players. Now, the London Police, which is a notorious police body, just like so many police bodies are in Canada. I mean, we always say this, right? It's like, this is the worst police body or that's the worst police body. It's like, they're all bad. But the London Police investigated complaints or allegations of sexual assault from members of this team and closed the case in 2019 with no charges laid. Now, it wasn't until 2022 that the person who experienced the sexual assault sued Hockey Canada and other hockey bodies in Canada for more than $3 million over the assaults. Now, in the lawsuit, she named 8 players, and this triggered the London Police to reopen their case and relook at the evidence. And finally, here we have it, announcement, come to the police station, 5 hockey players, you're facing charges of sexual assault. If it wasn't for her lawsuit, this would never have happened. The London Police would have been like, whatever, we don't care. Like they tried to do, like they did. And so, major kudos to the courage and the tenacity of that individual. But the last thing I'll mention is this. If we think about the pre-dawn raids that activists experienced a couple of weeks ago or more than a month ago now, activists who threw paint on the walls of an Indigo, right? That they were in bed and police barged into their apartments to arrest them. Or if we think of Dr. Tarek Loubani, who has been charged with spraying ketchup on the walls of an MP's office in a riding in London, Ontario. London, same police force that we're talking about, the World Juniors. Tarek spent overnight in prison. The activists in Toronto, they had a pre-dawn raid. And here we have hockey players who were politely asked to present themselves at the police station during a scheduled period of time to face charges. This is how whiteness and white supremacy and hockey supremacy and patriarchy operates within this country. That if you are part of a protected class of citizens, that might be a member of the World Juniors hockey team or a police officer, that you get these incredible privileges within society. But if you're not, if you're marginalized, if you're living in encampment and you give birth in an encampment, odds are your child will be taken away from you and given to a family who's then paid tens of thousands of dollars to take care of your child. You can't get that money to take care of your own child. The priorities are completely backwards. And as the state continues to cut back and squeeze us, these kinds of problems will continue to get worse. And politicians, those in power, whether it's Danielle Smith in Alberta or Justin Trudeau or Doug Ford or whoever, any politician you want to name, rather than seeing the obvious solutions, which is to get people into housing, give people resources, give people money, help people out, they will always look to support the state, to support the security state, to pour more money into the security state. That is the neoliberal transformation that has been ongoing for the last 30 years. And that is why it is so impossible to ever consider reducing a police budget. Do you know how by how much budgets are reduced all the time in healthcare and education and universities and the roads and the cities and everything that we rely on? But police is sacrosanct, and this is why. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think. Give me feedback. The comments are great. I'm going to try to respond to the comments, but some of them suck. To the person that was like, you touch your glasses too much, these fall off my face. It's not that I have a nervous tic. It's that they keep falling down and I actually don't see very well. So you're going to get more of that. And let me know what you think. I mean, this is a new world-ish for me, and I would love to hear your feedback. Would love to hear your comments. As always, share, subscribe, like it, tell all your friends. And if you got something that you want me to talk about next time, let me know. Get at me in the comments or find me on Twitter, or I don't know. People find all sorts of different ways to talk to me.